Welcome everybody, this is Awais back with the next video of IONIC workshop tutorials in which we're creating this expense tracker application from scratch. Now in this video we are going to have a goal of modifying our UI and making it look better. As you can see here, this date button is not really similar as today or category or amount. We're going to work on a UI in this video. Before we start the video, a few things I would like to mention. Please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Give this video a thumbs up if you like this tutorial series. If you think this tutorial series has benefited you and you want to help me out to continue with this channel and putting out more content like this, you can help me by donating. There is a PayPal link in the description of this video. And also, if you need any kind of development help or development services, you can shoot me an email as well. All right, now let's get started with the 8th part of this tutorial series. Running this application in iOS emulator. If you're on Windows, you can run this application in Android emulator. Now if you want to know how you can run this IONIC application in Android, I would highly recommend search for this kind of video on my channel. I've created a tutorial how you can run Android application built from IONIC to Android emulator. So just search for Android emulator on my channel, you'll find the video. Now the goal for this is to create a UI better, and I'm gonna move this store expenses according to date is done in the last video. Unit testing for storage is done as well, and big bind data for add expense to store, that's done as well. Now here we have a UI for a dashboard page, so I'm going to create a task, modify UI for dashboard page. I've got this wrong spelling. Let's move it to in progress. Let's go back to the code, and here you can run this application in Android or in the browser. So I'm going to bring in the browser as well. I'm going to start a debugger using IONIC app with Python. So here's my application running in the browser. I'm going to move it to very right here. Okay. And then I can bring this something like that. Okay. And here we got our emulator running as well. So we can see emulator or a browser. Now I'm going to hide the terminal. And the first thing what we need to do is get rid of this dashboard ion header. So for that, I'm going to go right on the top, and I'm going to cut this card and paste that into Ion toolbar. Now let's save our application and let's see how it's looking now. Okay, it's looking like this. Now I'm going to change this to no margin. Okay, it's looking much better. And now what we need to do is get rid of this color. So we got this Ion toolbar color set to secondary. I'm going to get rid of that. Also, for the dashboard title, I don't need that here. I'm going to get rid of that as well. Okay, that's looking good now. We don't need to have that header. So after that, we are going to modify this date button. So here is our date picker. I would like to first of all get rid of this value for now. Okay, maybe let's just comment this out. Now I'm going to save this bit, and we're going to get an error because we messed this up. So I'm just going to actually get rid of this for now. And now here we got this ion item. I'm going to move this button outside. And here we got the button now. I'm going to change that fill to clear. and then I'm going to use expand to full. Okay, now we got a similar kind of button, similar size of the text. I can click on it and nothing happened because that date picker has gone down here. Okay, once I click on this one, it should bring up the date picker now. Okay, so here we're gonna bring back the value for now, and I'm going to say selected date dot toISO string for now. Now we should see the value there. Okay, now because we need to open this date picker by clicking on this button, so what I can do here is I can actually get rid of this ion item. Let's save the file, and now if I bring the browser up, I can click on this date, doesn't do anything. Click on this, it opens up this date picker, and I'm gonna verify that by clicking here as well. For some reason in iPhone it's not doing what it's supposed to do, so we might need to start an application again. So I'm just gonna double click on this. Okay, we might need to run that again. Let's not worry about it now. Let's work with the browser, and then we worry about making this work in emulator later. So I'm just gonna move this a bit down, and that would be an iPhone, and I'm going to bring this down and make the size a little bit bigger, so we just do 75%. Yep, that's good enough, and we can just decrease the size of our console there. Okay, that should be fine, and if I click on this button, it's bring up this. So what we need to do is hide this date picker and just leave the date, and once I click on the date, it should bring up the date picker. So to do that, what we can do is we can use this hidden attribute for date picker, and that would fix up this problem so we don't see that date anymore. But what we do is to call this date picker. So we got this variable here, which is like, selected. I can go and target this. So I'll say use a click command. I'll say selected dot open. Let's save the file. And now if I click on this date, it should open up the date picker. So there you go. So we fixed the UI. Now another thing what I would like to do here is we have this fill set to clear. I would like to set this to solid. And for pretty much all of them, I would like to have this solid. For category of today, okay, so now we got this, all these buttons. I'm gonna change this to filter, not amount. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna go to application, and I'm gonna get rid of this data. Let's refresh, and there you go. So now our UI is looking good. We got this today button, we got the date picker buttons working. I got this tabs as well. So not tabs, actually this button there, a fab button. Now it's time for us to actually bring in our tabs. So if I go to tabs.html, if you remember in the first or second video, we actually comment this out. So I'm just gonna uncomment these tabs, and we should see tabs at the bottom now. Also, I'm gonna change the color for tab bar to, let's just say, primary. Okay, now we need a dashboard page, which we are right now. We have an activity page, we got this budget page, and we got account page. Now within account, I would like to create a button which resets the data for us. So that would help me to actually fix the data if we need to while we're building this application. So I'm going to comment this tab out for now. And also for the activity, we just don't need that for now. So let's just comment that out as well. So we got two, dashboard and account, dashboard and account. That's good. So we'll go back to our settings, this account. So if we take a look at the source folder, we go to app, and here we got pages, and I've got this account page there. So I'm going to click here, and here we have this account page, and we can create a button here. So I'm going to create Ion button. We can say expand full, okay, and I say reset data. I'm gonna change the color to, let's just say danger. I would have a red color there, and there you go, we got that button there. Now for now we only need this button because sometimes I like to clear the data and I don't want to go into the application here to clear the data there. So for that, I'm going to call a function on this, which will be basically click event, and I'll say clear. Okay, we'll say reset app, and that's it. We're going to go to accounts TS file, and I'm going to create a reset account. Actually, not account, app. Doesn't return anything. Now we need to inject private dot storage service dot storage. All right, and within this we can say this dot storage service dot clear local storage. Okay, now once we clear the local storage, let's just say clear it, go back to dashboard. I'm gonna add an expense, so I'll just say what are the expense that I can select, click on add, and here we have an expense. If I go to account, click on reset, go back, and we should not see this data anymore. So if I refresh the page, that will be gone. So well, we reset the application by clicking on reset data. We should clear the storage and update the latest data, which basically nothing will be there. So I'm going to go to clear storage function, and I'm going to say is reset, and that would be Boolean. Okay, and that can be an optional. Okay, so what we need to do here, if the is reset is true, then I can say if is reset, then we can inform the latest data. So we can inform this dot data service dot emit set expenses to, let's just say, null. Okay, and then we just return storage dot clear. Maybe we can do something like then, and then here we can say, we can just cache the promise, and I'm gonna say cut, paste this here, and return. Now this is going to be redundant because the problem is that if is reset, then we will be able to do that. So that was a bad idea. So let's just not worry about then here. Just do something like this. Okay. Now if I go to app component, I'm gonna pass in true. Okay. And now because this is gonna go in there, it's going to reset the data and also update the expenses. So I'm gonna go to the dashboard page. Let's add an expense. So let's just say $50. Let's add, and here we got this. I'm gonna go to account, reset data, go back, and there's nothing is there. Even when we refresh the application, no data will be there. Now quickly, we're gonna fix these icons. For the dashboard, we're gonna have a different icon, and for account, we need some sort of like a person icon. And we go here and we find a person icon, and this is what we need. So here we got the person outline, we got this person circle outline. So what I'm gonna do is gonna go and find this filled one, and I'm going to actually just click on this and then copy this bit. Okay, and we're gonna go to tabs page, and here I'm going to change the name to not this one, actually here, person, and we should see a person icon there. That's good. Now we're gonna find something for a dashboard. I might just use this one, list, and type list. Save the file and we should see a list icon there. We are at very good position in our app. We can create expenses, we can save them according to the date. We can also go to today or date picker. Now we added this account page, which will help us to reset the application data. Also, we got this navigation happening through tab bar, going back to dashboard page and account page. We got this nice fab button, which brings up this model. So before we test our application in Android and iPhone emulator, I would like to show some sort of alert when the app has been reset. So I'm going to close some of the pages. And here in account.component.ts file, here we are resetting, okay? Now I'm going to use a then, and it's returning void. We can see that through Python. So it says returns void, or I can just go back to this clear function. It says promise void. That's all good. I don't need to catch anything there. Now I'm going to take you to IONIC documentation. Here we got Ion alert, which basically shows an alert in your application. So I'm going to go and find this function, copy this bit. Actually, not this one. Go the basic one, top one, and I'm going to paste this function right here. Also, I'm going to change this alert to app has been reset. Okay, we can say app reset successful. Okay, and we don't need any subheader or message. And I can call this function this.present alert. Click reset, and you get this app reset successfully. Click on OK, it dismisses itself. So that's kind of like a good thing to show the user that it's been successful. So we got this function, and I would like to create a generic function which will help us to create alerts. And that can go into some sort of like a UI service that we can create, or it can go to action service as well. But for now, we don't have to worry about that because this application is not getting that large. We're going to add an ID for this alert, which app reset alert, and also change the function name. So I'm going to say present reset alert, so we can, have a proper naming convention. Click on this reset, and once that's reset, it will just show you this alert. Click, it will show you the alert if that's successful. Let's test our application in Android and iPhone emulator. So I'm going to open up a terminal. Let's stop the server, and I'm going to hide this debugger as well and stop this debugger. Now I'm going to use a couple of commands. I'm going to use npx cap sync iOS and Android. This will make sure that it builds and copy our www folder to iOS app public, and it does the same kind of functionality for Android as well. So we're just going to wait for it to finish. So that's all good. Also, I'm going to use this IONIC cap versus npx caps. Basically, npx is like a capacitor command, and IONIC is like a wrapper for capacitor. So we should use capacitor with IONIC. So IONIC capacitor sync iOS Android, and now it should do for the both platform. So you see the difference between, so when you do npx cap sync, it just copies www folder to this folder, but when you use IONIC capacitor sync iOS Android, it actually builds your application with the latest code, compiles it, and if the compilation gets successful, then it will copy and sync your native project. So here we got this capacitor syncing iOS right now, and it says updating iOS native plugins. So similar thing we could do for Android. I thought if you could type iOS and Android together, it will do for the both platform, but I think it's not doing it. So I'm just going to use separately. So IONIC capacitor sync Android. Now once that's all good, I'm going to open up a new terminal. I'm going to use IONIC capacitor run iOS. I'm going to use this live reload feature, and I'm going to use this external. Let's go back to our first one, and it's still building it. Now there was a problem with this, so IONIC, here's a typo. I'm going to press return here, and now it starts serving, and it's going to open up an Xcode, and it's going to allow me to run it in an emulator or in an actual device. So here it's finished. So here you can see it actually synced the Android project as well. So first we're going to start testing our application quickly in iOS emulator. Then we're going to run the same application in Android. So I'm just going to show you that how you can build, compile, and run with the live reload functionality. So I'm going to change the emulator to iPhone 11 and click on this play button. It should build and run my application on iPhone 11. There you go. Our application is starting, looking good. Now I can click on this date picker, the date picker come up. Click on this add. Let's add an expense. So I will say 22. Just write a description. Select the type, click on add, and we got this expense there. I can go to the settings page, click on this reset, and it says storage clear in the native, and I click OK, go back to dashboard, and no data stays there. So click on this plus button, we add a few expenses to test, and I'm going to change this to a movie. We're going to go to a previous date, let's just say date 7. Click on add, and let's just add another expense. Testing on date 7. I'm going to select the type to, let's just say pets, add, and we got this here. I'm going to click on today, and we get back our expense from today. Go back to date 7, click done, and we get back the data there. Okay. So in iPhone, our application is looking good. Now it's time for us to test this application in Android. So I'm going to click on this rectangle kind of icon, and it's going to stop my application. Let's close the Xcode, and now I'm going to stop this server, and here we got another iPhone 11 running. I'm going to use IONIC capacitor run Android, and now what it's going to do, it's going to build my application, and it's going to look for Android Studio. If you haven't installed Android Studio, I would highly recommend go ahead and install Android Studio, and also you need Xcode as well if you're on a Mac. So most probably you're gonna download the latest version. As you can see, it's saying for Mac, you want to see for Windows, and once you install that, then it should know where your Android Studio is installed. So now you can see it's verifying Android Studio, and it's checking if the Android Studio is installed on the machine. If it is, then it's going to open Android Studio with my Android project, which is here in Android. Now there are a few tricks that you need to follow to be able to, open up Android Studio. So here I'm installing or opening Android Studio for the first time. That's why it's asking me, hey, what's going on? You want a configuration from the previous one? I'm going to say do not import settings. Click OK. And here we got this directories below contains configuration and system files for unused version of Android. Please checkbox, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to use delete directory. Okay, let's delete it. And it's going to open up Android Studio. Here I need to set up my virtual device, so I'm just going to click next. Let's use a lighter version of it. Let's click finish. Now we're going to wait for this download to finish. I'm just going to pause the video here. At this stage, our packages are up to date. Now I'm going to stop Android Studio and I'm going to use the same command IONIC capacitor run Android, because I don't want to go and navigate to my project. So this should open up the Android Studio with my project. The first time it didn't do it because that was the first time that I opened up Android Studio from this machine. So that's why it was not really opening my project. Now I'm hoping it's going to open this time. Okay, I was hoping that my project would open, but for some reason IONIC CLI is not working good enough with Android Studio. Maybe because of this updated version, because I can guarantee you that it does open up that thing. So I'm just going to go to expense tracker, expense API, and go to Android, click on open, and there you go. Our project is ready in Android Studio. Now there will be some tips and tricks in what's new in 3.6. So I just opened this latest version of Android Studio, that's why. Okay, so it will take some times, and also it will have some plugins or something, like you need to make sure that it syncs your Gradle project as well. So right now you can see it's syncing my Gradle. So I'm just going to pause the video. Once everything is set up, all good, then I will click on that play button to run that on one of the emulator. Okay, so the project has been synced properly. I'm going to show you how you can create a new virtual machine. We go to your tools, go to AVD manager, and here, as you can see, I've got two devices here, Pixel 29, Pixel C API 28. So I'm going to use this Pixel 29. Let's go back, close this. Oh yeah, quickly, if you want to create any device, just click on this create virtual device, select one of the devices, click next, and you figure out how to do it. So I'm just going to cancel out. Here we got this Pixel C. I'm going to select Pixel 29 and simply click on a file and say sync project with Gradle files. Once I do that, it's going to sync my project with Gradle, and once that's successfully done, then it should all be good. Now I'm going to click on this play, and now it's going to open up Android emulator running Pixel 29. As you can see, our Android emulator is getting started. Okay, so our application is running in Android emulator, in Pixel emulator, I would say. So we got this account page, got the dashboard page, date picker is coming up as well. We got today's date button, click on this plus button and add an expense. Let's just say 30. Select the type, click add, and there you go, we got that expense there. Switch the date, an expense should go away. Yep. Go back to the current date, today's date, it should come back. Reset, click OK, and in the dashboard we shouldn't see anything now. So as you can see, our application is looking good in iOS and Android emulator. The only problem that I'm facing right now is that if I go back to this date, that date becomes actually the the selected date, which basically changed our date that we can select from. So now if I want to select 8, I can't, because that's not really there. So we're gonna fix that in the next video. All right, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and help me out by donating as well. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Cheers.